as yet unidentified objects over the Channel Islands region of the English Channel. This encounter lasted for 15 minutes, and the first object being visible from 55 miles distance. On nearing the object, a second identical shape appeared beyond the first. Both objects were of a flattened disc shape with a dark area to the right. They were brilliant yellow with light emanating from within, and I estimated them to be up to possibly a mile across. I found myself astounded but curious, but at 12 miles distant these objects were becoming uncomfortably large, and I was glad to descend and land the aircraft. Many of my passengers saw the objects, as did the pilot of another aircraft 25 miles further south. There is also possible radar information still being investigated. A team headed by Dr. David looking at this case will shortly be published will shortly publish a report, but I understand that at this time no definitive solution has been discovered to explain the sighting as yet. I've taken note of some of the differences between the British and the US reporting system. It appears that attitudes on opposite sides of the Atlantic are very different when it comes to the required reporting and recording of this type of event. Air law stipulates quite clearly that if an operating crew of an aircraft see another aircraft in a place that it shouldn't be, then at the earliest opportunity the whole scenario is to be reported to the relevant authorities. In my case, the British Civil Aviation Authority knew within 20 minutes of the sighting what was seen as described in the flight log and faxed directly to the relevant CAA office. The military were informed by Jersey Air Traffic Control at the same time. This is not an option. This is an obligation that crews react in this manner. In my experience, having reported the incident as required has had no negative effect, and there was no problem with me talking about this on British television. Indeed, my company, Aurigny Air Services, have offered every support to date. The assistance of Jersey Air Traffic Control in releasing recorded information to myself and the investigating team has been of great benefit. I did not feel that I was in any danger of being ridiculed, because all I did was report what actually happened, as was my duty as operating aircrew. I heard about the multiple witness sightings at Chicago O'Hare Airport about a year ago now, on November the 7th, 2006. I was surprised to hear how it was handled. Despite many pilots and airport personnel witnessing the object hovering over the terminal, there was no investigation at all by the FAA. It appears that pressure may have been applied to crew members by their company not to discuss this incident. I would have been shocked if I was told that the CAA in UK would obstruct an investigation, or if the CAA told me that what I had seen was something entirely different. But it seems that pilots in America are used to this sort of thing here. I would urge all fellow aircrew to report whatever they see as soon as possible, and to stand up and be counted. It's only when crucial and critical witnesses such as aircrew make reports that the authorities will be kick-started into a broader investigation of this phenomena. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hey! How is everybody doing today? My goodness, I am down a rabbit hole today. I wasn't down one yesterday, but I am down one today. That was the testimony of Brother Ray Boyer, a pilot from the UK. And this is why I say we have to pay attention to our fellow brothers in the UFOs. Whether they're American pilots or UK pilots or whoever they are. Because if you're familiar with the testimonies of what a lot of professional people say about what's going on that no one really talks about till now, I think now they're starting to talk about it, then you have no idea like what to look for, what to think about. So this was the testimony. If you guys remember Ray Boyer, he was the airline pilot that they were flying over, and they saw this massive cigar-shaped UFO. And I'm talking about this one for a reason, because what's happening with the, no, somebody, is the object slowing down? Nope, actually it's probably speeding up. This is the asteroid. That's the asteroid behind me. So that's the asteroid that everybody's been talking about. What do they call it? They call it the Oumuamua. It is the 2017 U1 reddish color asteroid that came past us. And the significant issue with this asteroid, a lot of things that are very interesting. One, it's cigar shaped. Never seen that before. Two, it's not from the solar system. So they know based on the trajectory of this, let me see if I can pull the trajectory or get an example of it up. They know from the trajectory of this object that it is not from our solar system. Oh goodness, I probably don't have that one. Oh, here we go. And so what's significant and why I'm looking at the cigar-shaped UFO testimonies of the people I trust or the people that seem plausible, the people who the aliens didn't have a baby. Not that that's not plausible, you guys. I'm not there yet. Can you walk with me a little bit? I'm just not there yet. Maybe you did have the aliens baby. I don't know. I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm not there yet. It's like my brothers, the flat earther brothers. I'm not there yet. Give me some time. Let me think about stuff. I need time to think about stuff. So this is trajectory of the asteroid, which is highly significant because it came from outside of our solar system, came to the center of our solar system, and now it's leaving. Do you know how big the solar system is? I mean, think about it for a minute. And damn it, we got Jupiter. I mean, do you know how big the solar system is and all the different gravitational forces are? The odds that a cigar-shaped, let me shrink this down a little bit so y'all can see the cigar-shaped alien UFO that the pilot saw. The odds that a cigar-shaped probe, asteroid, comes to the center of our galaxy, almost as if to take a Polaroid of us and, hey, how y'all doing? White people, Negroes, Hispanics, Asians, how y'all doing? What y'all doing? The odds that actually comes through the center of our solar system are extremely odd. The odds that an actual asteroid or cigar-shaped UFO makes it through the Oort cloud, which is full of nothing but asteroids, planet-sized killers, just gravitational monsters, is astronomical. And then the odds that in a massive universe full of all of these solar systems that the distance in space isn't even fathomable, that something actually comes to our solar system, it's just, there's no math for that. There is no math for that. And so this is what's hot in the news. I find it extremely interesting. I didn't really want to say anything about it until I thought about it a little bit. I had to think about it, had to think about all the crazy stuff I used to watch. And so that's why I played the testimony of this brother. He was one of the pilots. Goodness. Ray Boyer. He was a UK pilot that actually flew up. He saw the cigar-shaped UFO. They got it on radar, so it was a whole documented case. Landed, told the whole story about it. And to me, I look for corroborating stories. Like I said, I'm a skeptic. I like to disbelieve stuff first up, because if you just believe everything, then you're a fool. Like if you believe that there's nothing, everything that some of the governments say, not the Chilean government, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. If you believe everything the government say, you're a fool. And if you believe everything that everybody who says the aliens had the babies, went on the UFO and, whatever, and they went, the dude that was boxing in the alien boxing thing, did y'all ever hear about that? The brother, he was boxing in the alien boxing tournaments all over the universe. If you believe everything that's put in front of you, there's something really wrong with you. So, so that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about that because I like corroborating stories and the fact that all these people have been seeing cigar-shaped UFOs going back to the beginning. What was the first one? Oh, man. I know y'all know. You can help me. The first one was in Europe. It was in, I want to say it was the 14th or 15th century where they saw the cigar-shaped UFOs come into, was it Germany? And it was an alien battle. Little ships came out of the bigger ships. They were all fighting each other. and the whole town was disturbed by it to the degree where they drew a picture of the town in the alien battle with the cigar-shaped UFO. Highly interesting. If somebody remembers that. I forgot the name of the town. I can probably find the picture. I can drink more coffee. I can probably find the picture. So this is why I'm interested. I'm talking now. I was quiet about aliens before, but now the government's saying they don't exist. And the news is talking about it, and NASA, even Stephen Hawking is coming around. So Stephen Hawking chimed in on this asteroid, y'all. Stephen Hawking chimed in, and this brother, he didn't pull no punches. Hold on, let me see who's in the room. I know, sometimes I start talking to myself. Let me see if I got enough crazy people in the room so we can have a conversation. We need a quorum. You know, it doesn't make no sense for some people just to be by themselves talking. I do it all the time, but it's probably not a good idea. Okay, we got Mary and Wendy and Sharon and Deborah, brother Ronnie. Welcome from YouTube, Ronnie. We got Mary Lynn Greenfry in the house. Patricia, Teresa, Magdalena, Susie. Y'all like aliens. Brother Don is here. Deborah ain't. Oh my goodness. Bruce. Okay. Neil, Tim. Oh, Jack. Oh, all right. Dre, William, Jimmy is in the house. Lee. Alicia, y'all gonna make me talk about UFOs now. Y'all keep showing up for the discussions. We might have to do something with this more regularly. This may not be a weekend crazy thing. We might have to bring the crazy to the Monday through Friday. So hopefully everybody's doing good this morning. So yeah, a lot of delicious stuff we can talk about. And I want to talk about some of my favorite UFO cases, but I want to do the cigarette UFO. So we can talk about the battle for Los Angeles. I see that angel. I see it. The battle for Los Angeles, all the good cases where lots of people, lots of corroborating stories have seen these things. And so the cigarette UFO, this is why I chimed in. Let me tell you why I chimed in. I chimed in on this one after being quiet because Stephen Hawking came out and said, oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Saba, how you doing? I'm sorry, I missed you, and Brother Ivan. Stephen Hawking came out and he didn't pull no punches. You know what the brother said, Stephen? Hold on, let me get y'all know who Steven is. Steve, listen to smart people and shut up. This is the best thing to do. This is why I think I get smarter over time. I like to listen to smart people and then I shut up. So what Stephen Hawking said, he said, this thing looks like a UFO with damaged engines. And so he has a team of people investigating it now, looking for any sort of signals or operations that are out of the abnormal. And for people who they're doubting me, right? They're already doubting, say, oh, ain't no UFOs. We ain't never seen no cigarette-shaped UFOs. Let's class, this is not a class, but let's take a look. Cigarette-shaped UFO. And that one actually was from the footage from a military. It was at the Chilean government. Cigarette-shaped UFO. Everyone always say, how come there no pictures of UFOs? There ain't no pictures. You do. Cigarette-shaped UFO. This one was from a Russian probe. Y'all remember Phobos 2? The Phobos probe, the Russian probe that was going to, where were they going? They were going to Mars to take pictures of Phobos because Phobos had a monolith. We're going to talk about that in a minute too. And when Phobos, the Russian satellite got close, it took this picture of Mars of the shadow of a cigarette-shaped UFO, and they released that. This is why Russia did it, y'all. Russia don't care what y'all do. Russia just like, you know, we're going to release stuff. And we don't care what the United States talking about. They crazy as all hell anyway. And they right. We crazy. And this is the other picture from the satellite, Phobos 2. They got close to, after they flew and took a picture of the shadow on Mars of the cigarette-shaped UFO, they actually got up to the Phobos asteroid where they were going to get closer to try to get pictures of that monolith that's sitting on there. And look what they found in the picture. Cigarette-shaped UFO, got 2 pictures of it. What in the heck's going on? And of course, what happened to the Phobos 2 satellite? Boom! They lost contact with it before it got too close. Somebody speculated that was some sort of security system that they had for, okay, but let's keep going. Let's go. So cigarette-shaped UFO. There ain't no cigarette-shaped UFOs. We ain't never seen them. They not real. Ain't no cigarette. You know, this is from a military Chilean camera. This is the one that the Chilean Air Force took. It was from a helicopter camera. I got that if you want to see that. I got that queued up. We can watch that. Cigarette-shaped UFO, cigarette shaped. How come ain't never no pictures? They never clear. And y'all talk about aliens. Ain't got no cigarette shaped UFO. I'ma stop there. Cigarette shaped UFO. And so this idea. Hold on. I lost my comments. What happened? Dang it. I can't see what y'all saying. Hold on. So cigarette shaped UFOs. They've been taking a picture of these things for a long time. Let me see if I can find the picture. Oh, you guys, what was the name of that town? It was an old town in Europe. There was a UFO battle, and they drew in a painting. UFO battle painting. Let me see if I can find that. Because to me, this is delicious, and this is what we should be talking about. Okay, here it goes. Let me download this for the council. The Council of UFO Relations, like the UN would like the UFO in. So here we go right here. Who was this? Y'all remember this right here? When this old town, was it, I'm gonna get my details wrong. Was it 1400s or when was this? That they actually, there was a town, there was a battle, and I can't even read it. I forgot what town it was, but one of y'all will know. But they drew the cigarette-shaped UFOs, and it was so significant. It was in their little newspaper, and they put it out there. It was an alien battle, all these cigarette-shaped UFOs, little ones coming out, fighting back and forth. It's crazy, and this is why I pay attention to them. No, Gretchen's not a big joint in the sky. What? Get your mind out there. Get the cannabis, girl. Get your mind into cannabis. And so little UFOs came out. They were taking pictures. And so this is why I find this one interesting. I find the idea, hold on, let me show you something else. So I watched this documentary. There's great documentaries on TV. I got to keep my screen clean so I can, I don't use too much CPU here or memory, because I don't want, what's the new hacker link, the little hacker, the CPU hack. I don't want them being able to see my quiet UFO pictures. Not everybody got to see the cigarette UFO. Cigarette UFO. We're going to remove some of those guys. All right. So next piece I want to go to, we did Phobos, the cigarette-shaped UFOs. Oh, just in case, because sometimes people, they don't believe you. They think, oh, well, there was no Chilean, helicopter camera, the cigarette-shaped UFOs. We ain't never seen nothing like that before. It's just you making it all up. You just crazy and no, I got something for you. I got something. Helicopter camera, bruh. Helicopter camera. I'm coming here talking this mess. You're gonna come with oh, look at that. Does that look like an F-18 footage? Do y'all remember? Nope, but that's not the F-18 America just released. This was a Chilean helicopter footage from a minute ago. So the crazy thing about this one, let me see if we can play through it till you get to it, is this one, which looked very similar, operating very similar to the F-18 gun camera. This one came out of a cigarette-shaped, a joint-shaped UFO, Gretchen. You got your joint, girl. And guess what, girl? It got smoke, too. Look at it. They got it on camera. The cigarette, the little UFO came out of the cigarette joint UFO, and look what it got. A whole bunch of smoke came out behind it. And the reports on this one talked about it was spraying smoke on the ground. It sounded like trying to get everybody high. It was spraying on the ground. The Chilean government, they released it again. They don't care nothing about what America got to say about anything. So I think it's interesting. I think that we need to start paying attention to when little reports come out that are actually corroborating what the pilots are saying, what the crazy people on the ground are reporting, what Enoch was reporting, what the religions report, what that little town, and I think it was Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken, what they reported and what people been reporting going back. Nuremberg, Germany, that's, oh, I already took it down. Dadgummit. This is why you shouldn't get old. You get old and you forget. So here it is right here again. So if you want to go online, a little delicious conspiracy you can look into, type in Nuremberg, Germany, UFO battle. And they'll go through all the details of what everybody in the town. So it was one of the first mass sightings before the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews and all and the Taoists. I don't know. Did the Taoists y'all believe? I don't know what the Taoists believe. I don't know what the Taoists believe in UFOs. But all right. Let me stop. Getting serious. It's serious business, y'all. We serious. We not alone. This is some scary stuff. It ain't scary. It's scary to some people. It's scary to people who live in rabbit holes. You don't live in a rabbit hole. You understand we are not the only game in town. So anyway, I want to get into my theory. So look up Nuremberg, Germany, off the hook, cigarette-shaped UFOs. And this is why you got to be watchful and kind of pay attention, because if you pay attention, this stuff comes out and it doesn't phase you. You're like, yeah, okay, it's a UFO. You know what? I seem to recall that. And so in theory, well, oh no, I was going to tell you about a documentary I watched. So it's this great documentary I watched. Oh man, I just messed up my background. It's a great documentary I watched. I see I can fix this. I'm in here playing, clicking and breaking stuff. And it's called, what's the name of this documentary? It's a good documentary. Hold on, I got a picture of it. It's this brother, and he's going to save a group of humans because they're in peril. Why are humans always in peril? It's a great documentary. And the brother's name is Eli, and he's going to save the humans because there's a whole bunch of humans, and they're on this ship, and they all going to die. And so what Eli decided was that, you guys can go to sleep, and I will pilot everybody home. Hold on. Let me say the ship. Here go the ship. Good documentary, y'all. Brother Eli going to save everybody. Are you noticing any significant, interesting things about what the shape of that particular spaceship? So this is a deep space spaceship. This Stargate universe, y'all. Stargate universe. Why Stargate universe? It'll bless you. So it was a deep space ship that was designed by humans millions of years ago to explore the galaxy, get out there and look around, see what's going on. And the interesting thing about it is that everyone agrees that in order to have a deep space probe, there are certain shapes you want it to be, right? You don't want it to be a shape where you're going to be hitting asteroids, and it's not aerodynamics necessarily that you got to worry about in space, but you're flying through massive dust clouds and radiation, and so you want to have a low profile as low as possible, and not dissimilar from the idiots that do this right here, from the dummies on the planet who's still trying to murder people. They like to make their weapons the same shape that, that they can go very long distances, So this is looking at why the cigarette shape is so interesting for a deep space probe. And so anyway, Eli went to sleep. It was a deep spaceship. It was a good it wasn't a documentary. Sometimes I say that. Y'all got to forgive me. But Eli gonna save everybody. He went to sleep. And the whole point of the show is that to cross the distance between solar systems and galaxies, because it's so daggone vast, that the crew's got to go to sleep because it takes a long time, millions of years perhaps. I think in their case, they're lying. They're going to do it in like 3,000 years or 300 years or 3 years, something like that. Anyway, good show. You shouldn't have canceled it. Y'all some jerks for canceling it, but that's okay. You know what? I just get annoyed. Good show. Y'all should watch Stargate Universe. It'll prepare you for the future. And so possibly it's an alien ship and they're in stasis. I don't think that's the case, but I think in theory, they do things, all life is going to do the same things. Whether you evolve on the planet Earth, or you evolve somewhere else, I think we're all going to relatively come to some of the same intelligent solutions because just physics and how things work. I saw that, Rebecca, and I'm not saying that. So hold on. So I think, is it this one? Is it this one I want to show? Okay, no. So this is, yeah. That's just a little picture of the solar system. And so, the probe, I think it might be a probe. I don't think it's necessarily a ship with anybody on it. Because those distances are so vast, we don't even do that. But what we have done, if I can find the picture, y'all remember a little probe. I want to see, we probably did it with a couple probes, but I think we did it with Voyager. Where's Voyager? I think, is this Voyager right here? I can't really see my pictures that well because everything's so small. Well, no, this got a list of the probes on it. So we send probes all over the solar system. Why? Because it's too expensive to send humans. And when you can manufacture and automate probes to be made in an automated fashion, when we get it to a time where we actually have engines or drives that can actually send ships to other galaxies, what we'll end up doing is taking them as drones, sending them up in space, pointing them at a solar system, and putting in all the different solar systems for them to go to. And eventually, at some point, they're going to run out of gas, which is probably why you want to program them so that they do that, the aero braking maneuvers when they kind of fly around the planets and use the planet's gravities to send them to their next trajectory. So theoretically, we actually could make a probe that has no engines. All it really needs is a kickoff, a kickstart in the right direction where it could, let me pull up this picture, where it could basically shoot around the solar system and visit different star systems, right? Like, why would we want to do that? I think we'd want to do that because of the minerals. I think we'd want to know what's there. I don't think we care anything about alien life. I mean, we do. Human beings do, because we're really silly and we think we're the only thing in the universe. We're just so special. But other species, oh, come on, it's life everywhere. That's not interesting. What is interesting are minerals. Where's the picture I want to show you? And so why did, something else I can show you. I'm kind of making a case, if y'all bear with me for a minute, because I'm kind of thinking through this, and I don't know that any of this is true. I look at things and I try to come about something that makes sense. Another exhibit I want to show you. This is the picture that pilot Ray Boyer, the brother, he drew the picture of the cigarette-shaped UFO. He's done a whole bunch of interviews. If you ever go online, you can actually go and look at what a whole bunch of his interviews. And so I think he's still a pilot, but after he reported it, because in the UK, they don't worry about all this stuff, his airline had no interest. I got to say something. Hold on, I got to say something. No, because people, our identity politic friends, some people, they only believe stuff if it comes from sources and groups that they trust, right? So did y'all ever heard of Andy Danziger? Andy Danziger was Obama's pilot. So half of the people like, oh, what he's about to say is going to be true. It's going to be true because he said Obama. It's got to be true. Hope and change. Hold on. Let me see. I got a picture of his brother. Okay, here it goes right here. Andy Danziger. And so this is what he and so, but I got to say it so the other half of the audience, they agree with what I'm going to say next too. He did an interview on Fox News. Oh, it was on Fox? It got to be true. It's definitely going to be true. What do you want to say next? So now we know it's true across the board. He said, so he saw UFOs. Not only has he seen UFOs flying the president around, I don't think while the president was on the plane, but he also did interviews on different news stations you can look up. He made the statement, which is basically what Ray said also. He said virtually all pilots believe in UFOs because we all see them. Imagine that. So that should be 80% of the 80% of the United States now. Y'all, is it 80% that voted for y'all? I don't know. Anyway, so most of y'all should believe it now because it's on Fox and somebody who knew Obama, who he trusted to fly around. So now y'all believe everything I'm saying. So now pay attention. So they sent the probe up to Phobos. We talked about Phobos for a minute and where they saw the cigarette UFO, where the Russians saw it. We just talked about that a second ago. This is what's on Phobos. This is the monolith, which is interesting. Why is it interesting? I don't know if that's, this is in Phobos. Fake news. This is the one that's on Mars. It's a monolith on Mars. Yes, it is a monolith on Mars. Y'all see it? What does it look like? Look like a cigarette sticking in the ground. Somebody said, Lynn said doobie joint. Lynn, Gretchen and Lynn, y'all always acting up. Y'all must know. You must be sisters. So it almost looked like a crashed cigarette-shaped UFO. Uh-oh. Who knows? I don't know. Let me show you a picture of Phobos. I know I had one. So that's the one on Mars, but on Phobos, they had an even better one. And this is why they sent that probe. Oh, here we go. This is why, this is Phobos. Oh, what is that? What does that look like? Look like somebody stuck something in something. Stuck a joint in somebody's mouth. Oh, y'all are crazy. Y'all drive me. Y'all silly. Hey, Angela, welcome. We doing crazy stuff. We still on the weekend. We're talking UFOs. So interesting. So that's when they found the cigarette-shaped UFO around Mars. There was a great book by the name of, I forgot the name of the book. It was about the rings around Saturn, right? They got pictures. I know I got the pictures. Where the pictures at? I got all kind of pictures. The rings around Saturn, they found something around the rings around Saturn. And guess what they found? What's this? And these are NASA pictures, y'all. What they find? Cigarette-shaped UFO in a NASA picture, infrared. What is that cigarette-shaped thing? There was a book called, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it was called The Ring Riders. I think it was called it was a theory that the rings around Saturn actually were either UFOs, they were being made by UFOs, or UFOs were harvesting but they had a picture of these long cigarette-shaped UFO thing. And we say UFO, now come on, we'll be honest, we don't know what it is. It doesn't mean it's aliens. It could be big space rocks that fly around and change path. But could be us. Could be us in the future, right? Could be, maybe we got time machines, came back, and they're harvesting minerals. And so, because for some people, it's more plausible that it's like humans in the future. They still don't believe in a lot of things. So it could be. Let me see. What y'all? I'm sorry. I'm off talking. I'm trying to make my case. I'm not done making my case. But let me see. Oh, let me show you one more. So there was another one. Y'all remember? Do y'all remember China? China did it. Y'all don't like China because y'all, we fighting over minerals. We want the slaves in Africa. No, we want the slaves in Africa. Y'all go back and forth fighting over China. But guess what? Y'all remember China when that airport shut down? What shut it down? When all the flights had to stop, you go online, you can find it. It's not a big deal. Everybody, the people whose minds are open to all kind of stuff, who don't know everything, they watch this stuff. They've already seen it. So this was the China UFO where people took pictures of. The whole airport had to shut down because a UFO was flying over top of the airport. Does it look like, what does that look like? Cigarette-shaped UFO. So I'm wondering, hold on, let me go down and see what y'all talking about. I'm off. I'm making a case. I think Stephen Hawkins is onto something. I think Stephen Hawkins, why everybody's like, oh, it's just a space rock. To me, it's very plausible, and it makes a lot of sense that if we are sending our probes up and we're sending them out of the solar system, it was like, was it Cassini and was it Huygens or some of the other probes that we got far out to, was it Ceres and some of the other, the outer lying bodies in our solar system. When they were done, we crashed them. And for others, we just sent them off into the solar system. And what would you do is you would point it at a star and you would just go on, let it go. And so perhaps this was just a probe that they were probing their own solar system or nearby galaxy, and now it's just coming through ours. Maybe it's dead. It could be totally shut down, because theoretically, you could use the gravitational pull of planets and solar systems, and you could map out 100 different different planets or solar systems that you could send a probe to, right? We have the technology to do this now. It's a drone. And all it would have to do is just use the gravitational pull to go around and probe whatever we wanted to probe. And so these are things that we're kind of doing today, right? You look at the drones that we're putting down in into the ocean. And so to me, it's plausible. It's interesting, plausible. I don't know that I believe, I don't know that I believe everything. The only thing I know is there's no way we're the only thing that's out there. And I find it interesting anytime something comes up in the news and they're talking about it and it sounds like it could be plausible. When the military start releasing this information, I got sent, before I got sent down another rabbit hole. There's some ancient archaeology I want to look at. Let me see, what are y'all talking about? Deborah said, we are curious creatures. The others are greed-based. We are curious creatures. The others are greed-based. We are curious. I think a lot of us are curious. A lot of us are greedy too, right? I mean, why do we have these problems where we actually can't like figure out what the heck is happening in the solar system? It's because we spend all of our money in making massive metal weapons to go kill people in other countries. And so we really don't know what's up there. We don't know what's going on. Brother said, Bjorn said, for now, we don't know if we're the only life in the universe. We have no idea. We have no idea, and it's because we don't spend it. Like, we don't put any significant spend in what's there. Like, as this asteroid, for an example, asteroid or spaceship, who knows what it is. What we don't know is we don't have any information on it entering our solar system, right? Like, because it's leaving now, but we never knew it was coming. Why didn't we, or they didn't tell us if they knew, but why didn't we know it was coming? We didn't know it was coming because we don't spend a significant amount of our budget looking up. Well, at least they don't tell us that we do. We spend most of our budget looking at the minerals across where other people live. So hold on, I had a picture. There was a great shot of Phobos I wanted to show you. Let me see if I got that. Because Phobos, another reason that they look at Phobos is this. So we got a high resolution one, not an old one. Look at that. And so Phobos, it actually isn't black and white. You know, we're starting to get some color pictures. But Phobos is full of something. Now that could be ice, could be water, could be melt, could be uranium, could be some other mineral, right? So this is the drive. This is a lot of the drive to why we're starting to look up, probably because they want to start doing some mining up there. Maybe they're getting to a point where they're going to stop killing human beings with wars and start looking at the asteroids. And so I think that's why more of the spend actually is going into looking up, because there's an awful lot of minerals out there, which is why it's the craziest thing. I know if it's a life out there, they got to be looking down. It's like, why in the world are y'all fighting over things that are just all over the galaxy? Oh, let me show you something. Speaking of harvesting resources, let me show you a piece of NASA footage I thought was pretty interesting. So NASA, every now and then, I don't know if y'all, I got a lot of friends that watch the, what is it, the International Space Station, and every now and then something will fly into view, and all of a sudden you get that blue screen. That's huge. That's something to pay attention to. Why NASA keeps shutting down the blue screen anytime something flies into view. But I wanted to show you, and this was a video that came from, I want to say it was a NASA, it was one of the NASA infrared, let me see if I can pull this up. You can see this one. Okay, one of the NASA infrared cameras looking towards the sun. And this one was interesting for obvious reasons. What in the heck is that? Look at the lower right-hand corner. What in the heck? What in the heck? There was something that actually appeared to be pulling something, harvesting something from the sun, some sort of spherical shape. And once it was done, it flew away. And I find it interesting. And it kind of makes sense that, you know, what could that be? You know, you could think about physics, and I think you could probably come up with some ideas of what it could be. But there were multiple times that this was filmed. And if I were some spacefaring species, I would send drones, perhaps, to go harvest energy from suns for our ships, perhaps. Maybe for ships, cigar-shaped UFOs, that are flying through the solar system that have to refuel. Could be. Do we do that? On a micro scale? Well, let me see. We've got super tankers that when we have airplanes flying around, jets in battle and long reconnaissance missions, that we have very large super tankers that refuel them in flight. And that was more of the getting into the Stargate universe. And so, I don't know. It's a whole lot of things. there's a little bit of the fun weekend stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. I think it's interesting. And I think we should start looking up. Gretchen said, of course, there's life elsewhere. Universe is infinitesimal. I think it has to be. I think it has to be. I think it's important that people start to prepare and talk for it. Like, I think, or prepare for it and talk about it. You guys remember the Brookings report? Like, one of the reasons they say, the reason that they don't let people know what's going on up there is because of a report that was done prior to the Apollo missions where they said that it was a Brookings report where it said something to the effect that if you find anything on the moon, or if you find anything that is proof of alien life, that you can't release it to the public. If you released it to the public, that it would basically shut down economies and societies worldwide. People would stop paying their taxes, they would stop going to church, they would fall into all types of suicides and just mass depression. And I don't know if that's true. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Okay, it probably is. It probably is. If you ever been to America after this last election and how people are actually really going insane, they fell into major depression just over an election of an office in the United States that most people don't think is even effective anymore. And these people fought their brothers and their sisters and their husbands and wives over a president. I suspect that there's validity to the psychological studies and things that are behind the Brookings report. So, but the interesting thing, the good thing though, is because of all this information is out there, we can start to look out there and question it. And if anything, and if none of it's true, if that's just a big rock that's flying through space, at least people are starting to prepare themselves. The next generation is starting to accept the idea that maybe we aren't, the best, greatest thing in the universe. And so I think that is a very important thing to pay attention to. Brother Bajorn said, who gave Hollywood all the money to make UFO movies? Check it out. And that's a good question. And why? Who did and why? If you got a link, send it to me. I'm looking for trying to find stuff. Disinformation, they feed the same story. And that is the problem, isn't it? That is, Brother Bajorn, that is the problem because you don't know what to believe. One extreme side, again, the aliens had my babies and, I don't know why the boxer, I love that story. The boxer, the universal boxer, I think he was a boxer at one point in time and he got abducted and he said he was flying around the universe fighting in the, the universal boxing league fighting aliens. And then the other side, the full governmental side that we're the greatest thing in town, fulfilling of all the narratives of all the religions, keeping everybody separate, that, that they can release disinformation that just to kind of send you down a road to screw you up. Like, oh, there was a good one. Good recent disinformation. It was at one of the UFO conferences where, goodness, what was the guy's name? They actually showed a picture of an alien corpse that they said was from Roswell. The guy's name's not coming to me, and so they showed the picture. Everybody got excited. Oh, wow, they finally released the picture. Oh, my goodness. Da, da, da. And I think it was a few months down the road, someone linked up that picture with a mummified corpse of a baby, like a child. That was some mummy that was found. And it's just like, this is why you can't jump off the cliff. You have to look at things and kind of swallow them with a grain of sand, grain of salt. You look at things, swallow them with a grain of salt, and just wonder. But I don't think our ancestors were crazy. I think they saw stuff and they wrote it down. And I don't think it all was swamp gas. I think there was something going on that we don't know about. Let me see what else we got. The UFO love cannabis. Why win to the farms? Okay, Jimmy, I'm not sure where you're going with that one, brother. Brother Kevin said they're all seeing eyes. 39 are watching. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I can't even see how many people are watching. Brother Bajorn's got me on some new technology now. I'm trying a few things. I'm doing some multi-streaming. So I can't see how many people are there, but I'm working on that. Sister Mary said, couldn't they be these three-dimensional holograms being used by our government to scare us? We know our government had this technology. Totally could be. Totally could be. God, they could be, all of it could be a lie. It all could be well, I think when you go back at the ancients, it may not be a lie, but we know that we're coming into a time when they want to try to scare people. And what I like to do when I look at this stuff is I like corroborating reports. You know, like if one person sees it, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, that looks good, I want to believe. But, you know, but if you have so many people are coming out and we have so many pictures of these cigarette-shaped something, and theoretically it makes sense that if there were deep space probes and the ones that we send out, if they're going to be cigarette-shaped, then that actually makes some sense. Let me show you something. Oh, I got to show you something. Let me show you that. Can I show you something? I get excited. Let me show you something else. So Neil deGrasse, Neil came in and he chimed in. Brother Neil, I love Brother Neil to death. Brother Neil, we disagree on some things. You know, Neil, he's a big GMO guy. And you know where I stand with that. I really don't think we should be messing around with that stuff. But he kind of lost me a little bit when he started talking about GMO was just hybrid. I'm not sure why he said that. That didn't make any sense at all. I have to preface this because there are people who love him and people who hate him. I like Brother Neil. I like Brother Neil, but I disagree with everybody. There's nobody I agree with 100%. But it was a good little interview with Cole.
In ways that they can't explain.
That has a way better chance of being aliens than this thing. Because those objects were doing things that were not gravitational.
So what do you think? Do you think that they got something there?
I think we don't know what it is. So hence the U in UFO.
Wow.
Are you going to say?
I'm on board.
Are you going to say?
Yeah.
Well, this is a UFO. I don't know what it is. Therefore, it's intelligent aliens from outer space. You just said you don't know what of alien manufacture.
Wow.
And then,
so in this scenario, the aliens smoke.
Yes.
Oh, listen. If I see them.
So Neil, he's not anti. He's just show me the facts, right? Like show me the evidence. And so he's not really on the fence of this particular one. He thinks. Let me go back because I know that
velocity.
Hold on.
A hyperbolic orbit.
What?
Okay, hyperbolic trajectory.
Okay.
That's why we say hyperbolic.
Yeah.
Hyper is,
yeah.
It's got more energy than
abolic.
Than abolic, yeah, hyperbolic. It's parabolic, for example.
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Okay, so the reason why it's probably not aliens is its trajectory around the sun was completely determined by gravitational forces.
How do you know?
Because we know, we calculate this. We have this laws of gravity, laws of physics.
Look at this. See this? See that? That trajectory was completely controlled by gravitational forces after it reached its peak up here and came back down, and yet a thinking creature started the process, okay? It doesn't mean, if this came in and goes, oh, gravity did that, but somebody made it go to here. Checkmate. Parabolic. Parabolic.
That was a good interview. I liked. I posted the whole interview, but and so to me, it is interesting. It's something to think about, right? Is it or is it not? I don't know. So you got Stephen Hawkins on one side, you got Neil deGrasse on another. Who knows? A ragweed dude. Hey, it could be. It could be a large one that's up there. Technology, Jeannie. Is it technology? I don't know. I will be curious to see what Stephen Hawkins comes up with. It would be great that although like theoretically, if it is something, how in the world would it communicate? Why would it communicate with us? Number one, I don't think that they would be interested in us. I think if if any sort of alien life were up there and they were interested in us, I think that we would know. It would be a little more obvious. I think that they would be here and communicating with us or whatever. Some people say they are. Not with me, but some people say they are. But I think if anything, it's probably like a mapping mission, right? If it is, why would they talk to us? Why would they have any signals going off to say, hey, Earthlings, we're here, you know, shoot us down so you can, or come get us and steal the technology. And that was in Stargate Universe too, right? So it was going from galaxy to galaxy, and all the species who saw it, they were trying to get on board to get the technology, and that's exactly what we would do. So I think if anything, it would probably be quiet. It wouldn't put off any signals, anything we could detect. It would come through, mapping the solar systems or whatever, and just send data back, report back to wherever the heck it came from. Mary said, what about the Hubble telescope? I saw that in one of the news reports that they are going to point the Hubble at it to try to get a close-up a better picture of it. One of the interesting things they mentioned is that it's an orangish color, right? So, you know, the facts about it are it's not from the solar system. It is an orangish color. The picture behind me is not it. That's an artist drawing, so no one has a picture of it. But it being orange, one of Stephen Hawking's points is that it would seem to be some sort of a metallic structure that was in deep space, being subject to solar radiation, significant amounts, and that it would end up looking that way. So it could be. One of Neil deGrasse Tyson's points was, he said, well, we see trails of comets that look like that. And so he doesn't think it's one solid unit. It could be multiple, portions that are broken up. I don't know. And yeah, that brother Jimmy, and that's my point, is that we talk about these things, right? Because there was a time where you couldn't talk about it. If you talked about it, if you were a pilot, you lost your job. You talked about it, you were a doctor, you lost your job. And so now we're in a time where people can start to think and like process through it. And the way I like to do it, I like to think about what we do. And does that make sense? And to me, this thing seems like it's something that we would do. When we have an engine that can get us to the multiple solar systems, we will send probes. And when we send those probes and they use the gravitational pulls of the planet, we'll use that to slingshot us perhaps to other solar systems or around that solar system to map out the different planets. So it makes sense. And this is what we do today in our solar system in a very, very slow way. So I think it's possible. Lynn said NASA is BS. I believe nothing they say. Lynn, I think NASA is BS, but I think they slowly release information. I think that I don't think that there's a reason for NASA to like flat out lie to people in the European Space Agency and what's the one in India and China. But I think from a military industrial complex perspective, it makes sense to not broadcast to your enemies that what you're working on, right? So if you are working on space weapons, you don't want people to know you're in space. If you did find an alien craft, you wouldn't want your enemies to know you have it. You want to reverse engineer. So I don't think NASA's lying or any of the other space agencies. I think that they're slowly releasing information after probably the military industrial complexes learn how to weaponize things and they know that their competitors can't catch up with us. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Brother Bajorn said, we have an abundant amount of resources on Earth if it's managed correctly. And that is the full truth, which is why I think we got to talk about this stuff, which is why I think we should listen to all the whistleblowers around the world that are saying that they have high technology, irregardless of where it came from, that they're not sharing, that they're using for weaponry and they're not using to use for the benefits of humanity. So people should be talking about this. We have more than enough resources on this planet for what is like a population of like 800 billion. So we're not even close to running out of resources. We're not even close to being overpopulated. All of that is fake news. But we don't utilize the automation. We don't utilize the top technologies that we have for human beings. We use them for war. And so why it's important to talk. That's why if you don't follow, I always mix the two up. It's either Stephen Bassett or Stephen Greer. I forgot which one, who's leading up the Disclosure Project. Because the whole intent of the Disclosure Project is to get people who worked in professional places on a lot of these high technologies that all governments keep quiet from us, to get them released, because we have an Earth that's in crisis. We have people who need these technologies. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to talk about. Plasma ejection, yeah, it could be the plasma ejection that's coming out the sun. We don't know, and which is why it's always a great question to ask. You ask the question everything, send up a probe, check it out, inspect it. But we should be like, I would, if I still talk to politicians, I don't anymore because they lie too much. But I would like walk up with that sun picture in the face. What the hell is this? We need to know what this is, you know? Could be a solar flare. I think the things that make that damning, Mary, when you look at it, is that it actually is, and I can bring the picture back up. But and you can, if you go and look online, you'll see tons of them. You'll see that orb come up, and then let me see if I can find one that kind of shows it better. You see it approach the sun, and it's a true sphere shape, and then you see it, it sucks plasma or whatever it's sucking up, and then it flies away. So trying to, think about it critically, it could be, it could be what I want it to be. And this is where, our wants get us in trouble. It could be what I want it to be. It could be like an alien drone probe getting, fuel or something. But then again, it also could totally be, I don't know, thinking like from a physics perspective. Let me show you this. Maybe this one will show it pulling up and leaving. All right, so that one shows it harvesting. It could possibly be, so you can see it on the lower right. It could be, I don't know, some sort of gravity. And you see it flying away, and then the plasma goes up with it. Okay, they'll zoom in and show it again. So it's down there, and it's sucking plasma out of the sun, and then it flies away. So I don't know, theoretically, could there be some sort of physics thing that we don't know about? A gravity well, dark energy or something, and it gets too close, and it pulls this from the sun, and once it has enough, it gets charged and fires back the other way. I mean, these are questions for physicists to answer. Right, these are questions for people who are a lot smarter than I am to answer. But the reason that, from an I love ancient archaeology, and the reason that we don't get like a quorum of archaeologists on different sides of these things to kind of discuss them and find out what's happening, the things about ancient archaeology that we don't know, is because we the people don't force it. We don't force those conversations, and I think, when we talk about stuff like this and we force it viral, if we force, what's the girl who wore the meat dress? I forgot it. She showed up at the award ceremony with a dress made of meat. Everyone loves that. We like it. We post it. We share it. Not me. I'm not into that. But when we do that, that's what, is talked about. If we actually start pushing this stuff forward, like, no, we want you to answer this. We want the professional minds of our time to work on this and answer these questions. Like, there was someone said once that over 40% of the scientists and engineers around the world are actually locked into projects for military, right? So the majority of the smartest people we have on the planet, or a large portion of them, are actually being utilized for technology to kill each other. And I don't think that that's government's fault, right? I think they should know better, don't get me wrong, but I think it's our fault. It's our fault because we don't push these things into conversation. We don't require our leaders answer them. And so the only leaders who come up and talk about this stuff are like Paul Hellyer, he was a prime minister of the UK, no, ex-prime minister of Canada, who came forward and said, look, is stuff flying all over the sky. As prime minister, we saw it all the time. America knows all about it. You guys need to question them. So I think that those are things that can't get answered, but we have to force the questions. We have to force them to answer those questions. What's interesting, in the name of the asteroid, the name it sounds like it's Hawaiian. It's Amamoa, and it means messenger from afar. Oh. I know it's like that's evidence. It ain't evidence. It's not evidence of anything, you know, but it's interesting. Let me see. Brother Ronnie said, my question is, are there any aliens among us in society living as human beings, holding positions of authority in government, corporations, as CEOs, etc.? I don't know. I don't know. From a would that make sense perspective, I imagine if some alien species were interested in us, that, you know, it could make sense to actually put someone in our government. I know people say it. I don't think that it makes sense to me. Like if the Earth is a science experiment, you know, yeah, a toddler science experiment from some advanced species, millions of years old, y'all, we call them God, and they were doing some sort of genetic experiment on Earth, making human beings in our environment. I mean, it makes sense that they would come back and guide and direct that experiment. Like that would make sense. But would they care enough to actually like give up their life or give up a portion of their life to spend with us and be a part of our government with a species that's barely evolved beyond violence? I know I wouldn't. That would be my job, Ronnie. That would, if we were a part of some billion-year-old species and I could fly around to different solar systems and universes and stuff, I don't think that to me would be a punishment, to like go down to a planet and be forced to like hang out with the cavemen while they're still hitting people over the head with clubs and dragging them away, fighting over oil and minerals. I wouldn't want that job. So I don't think so. I'm not gonna say it's not, because again, I don't know, and I don't want anyone to ever think that I think that I know. I don't know. You know, but is it plausible? It's not really plausible to me. I think that there's like a psychological thing in human beings where we want to feel that we're so significant. And it's not that we're insignificant, but in probably the grand scheme of things, as big as the universe is, I seriously doubt that they would come down and want to have, you know, guide our government, like, and be involved in politics and give speeches and, you know, have staff. Like, it's just, there's way too much more interesting out there, I would think, especially if quantum physics is true and there's multiple dimensions and all kinds of fun stuff you could do as an alien. Let me see. Brother Bajorn said, engineered lies to control the ancients. Engineered lies to control. The ancients were experts. Could be that it's all just another means of controlling us. I believe that we are human cattle. I think we're on a big farm and the fences are borders and nationalism and all of this stuff that everybody groups up with, colors and races and religions, and everybody's in their own little fencing. And the farmer always does things to control us. Could be, you know. I guess Brother Happy's not here. Hey, maybe the Earth is flat. I don't know. Maybe they make up all of this NASA stuff. It's a lie. But, you know, the funny thing about it is if we allow our governments to keep secrecy, we'll never know, right? The only things we'll know, if the farmer is allowed to have top secret and classified and all this stuff, we'll never, ever know, which is why, like I said, politicians need to have body cameras, because unless we know the truth, then what are we doing? What else are y'all talking about? Let me see. Sheldon said, there's so many planets in our galaxy. It's ignorant for us to think that we are the only intelligent life. I agree with you. I agree with you. Sheldon, I think it's a zipper complex. I think we always want to feel like we're the best thing. You know, it's the saying I love the most where they say there are more Earth-like planets in the Milky Way galaxy alone, not talking about the hundreds of thousands of other universes, but in the Milky Way, or galaxies, in the Milky Way galaxy, there's more Earth-like planets than grains of sand on all the beaches all over the Earth. And so the idea that we are the only game in town, I think that's somebody who's really not, they don't have the thinking cap on. They don't have, you know, and maybe the other side has the 10 hats, the 10 foil hats, and the other side, they don't have the thinking caps. So I like to land in the middle somewhere. I just want people talking about it because I think this is where we need to go. Let me see. Angel said, I've seen a lot of pics of videos and UFOs and also black portals. There's a lot of pictures out there, and I know a lot of them are photoshopped, and some of them I think are real, and some of them I think are human technology. Others might be holograms, but we don't talk about it. We don't know. Uh-oh, Sister Lynn said he's a sexual harasser. Was he caught up in Pizzagate? Who was, Tyson or Colbert? Because I don't watch that stuff. To me, that stuff isn't interesting. I have no interest in politicians or political news. I don't. My interest is human rights and human beings taking back control of their planet. And this kind of falls along that topic, honesty and transparency. Abby says space is gluten-free. Okay, well, I'm good with space then. I can eat some space. Let me see. Humans are so underdeveloped. Humans are so underdeveloped with still committing violence against each other instead of working together so all of us can have good lives. We are, Rebecca, and that's why I don't think, again, I'm not saying I know. I don't think aliens are interested in us. I don't, because I'm not interested in anthills. Okay, don't get me wrong. Okay, so on my way to work, if I see an anthill that's like 3 feet tall, okay, I might stop and take a look at it. I'm like, well, wow, that's 3 feet tall. That looks like something that might be in Australia, Africa. That's interesting. I might take some pictures, I might post it, and then I'm like, okay, I got to go to work. Get back in my UFO car and drive away. And I think that I wouldn't stop and I wouldn't say, oh, let me go back to the car and get some water and feed the ants some water and tell them how the civilization works and they should work together. No, I don't think I would do that. So I don't know. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Let me see. Sister Amy said NDT is a mainstream scientist. I don't trust him. Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is. He totally is, Amy. And you know what? My theory on Neil is that he once you become so big, you've gotta, you live on your job, you live on your grant money, you got the house, you got the car, you got the mansion, you've got, these things that you're going towards. You're doing research and study in different areas, and that grant money is probably tied directly to your credibility with those universities or those organizations. And I think once you become beholden to how you make your money, they can probably control what you say. There's no way on this planet, because what did Tyson say about GMO? He said GMO and hybrid. He said, oh, we've been doing this for years. GMO and hybrids are the same thing. They're not the same thing. Hybrid is breeding 2 plants together in a natural way. GMO is taking genetic engineering 2 plants that in nature would never become the same thing, like taking the DNA of a jellyfish and strawberry, putting it together. And, jellyfish make their own types of compounds and minerals and different things that are in their bodies. And we never ate jellyfish that I know of, and strawberries make their own. And so putting the 2 together, we have no idea what we just made. We have no idea what it can become. We have no idea, the effect that that's going to have long-term in the human body. And that's my caution with GMO. But that's my Neil deGrasse Tyson point. I like the guy. I think that he is a phenomenal thinker. I think that he's brought science, to the mainstream, and I think he's made science cool. So I think he's played a great part. But I also think when his money requires that he tell a lie or, omit some truth, then I think he will. Let me see, what else are we talking about? Brother Jimmy said a deflated balloon filled with water turns into streams, inflates to a ship with fuel. Got me, brother. I don't know. You got me on that one. You got to give me a little information more on that one. Yeah, Colbert is nasty. I can't stand him. I thought it was a great interview, though. That's why I watched it, because when they start talking about this stuff, and I thought he kind of, he had a great point, which is, yes, it is in a orbit that's respecting gravity. And then Colbert made a great point, too, which is that, but we do the same thing, right? Every probe we send up, we save fuel by getting those probes to use gravity to pull them in the directions we want them to go. So it's up in the air. We need Stephen Hawking to come in and break the tiebreaker. He said Neil is right on this one, even though he screwed up on the GMO thing. He could be, which is why nobody can get on a podium of I know it all, right? Nobody should ever get on that podium. If you don't know, say, it's unlikely, but, and this is why I think people don't talk anymore about, highly emotional topics, because they look at things and then they step out on a ledge that they absolutely know, something that they couldn't possibly know. And, if you don't know, then say you believe, but leave it at that and don't get extreme with it, that you guarantee that these are aliens or you guarantee that they're not. Otherwise, intellectual conversation, you have that by keeping mutual respect for each other, right? And that mutual respect, it actually is there. It's more present when people are having a conversation in a way that's factual, that it's just based on facts and nobody knows. Hologram, I don't know. Yeah, I think that if there could be some holograms, I think that'll be like the UFOs that are flying that they get pictures of. I think that this, I'm pretty sure, I'm not gonna say I know, I'm pretty sure, because it could be a big diamond, but I'm pretty sure it is either an asteroid, which is highly significant to humanity because it's the first one that is not from the solar system, or it is some sort of a dead ship that's probing the galaxy from some society or some ancients that sent it out and forgot about it or something. But either way, we should have been on top of that. We should have had a man standing on front of that thing or cameras taking pictures of it a long time ago. And all the drones that are, all the satellites that are facing down at the Earth, photographing everybody's land and territory and see if we can rob, kill, store, looking for terrorists or whatever dumb stuff they're doing. They all should be looking up. Right? Because these things are interesting to humanity in the future of understanding our solar system and getting off this planet, or even finding out what the heck we are. We don't even know what the heck we are. And until we find what the heck we are, how we got here, and start piecing together the religions and the theories and the Big Bangs and the Garden of Edens and all that stuff, you'll have all these people who are divided all across the board, which is why, to me, science and religion are the same thing. I think they both seek the truth, but both get to extreme places where they don't want to talk to the other. They just think the other's just so crazy. But both of them have been proven true from historical stories in the Mahabharata, the Bible, the Gita, the Quran, as well as science perfecting them. And and I think they work really well together when they find these cities that they say existed, and they're buried under different things. When you actually use science and geology and you put all this stuff together, we start to get a picture of, wow, okay, this actually makes some sense. Let me see. Saba said, I can't believe we are watching programming to decipher the truth. I don't think we have much of a choice. I think that, we've allowed lies and falsehoods to run our medias all over the world. And so I think we have to look at the only things that we can, and especially ancient cultures, to try to piece together and see the cracks in the matrix and the things that actually make some sense. But don't ever believe everything that you hear or you see. Let me see what else we got. Any other good stuff because I'm going to take you to another rabbit hole I fell down. Brother Jimmy said, through F-35 is dangerous, even to them as they fuel. All right, I think that's one of the jets you were talking about, the F-35. And all new technology is dangerous. Colbert, talking about Colbert. You know what I say? Saba said she likes how I say it's techamenology. What is techamenology? It's you know what? You know why I say that? I say it's techamenology because it's not technology. We are the things we make. Everything we make, unfortunately, the majority of stuff is for the wrong purpose, right? And the MI is military, techamenology. Everything is for the military. Everything is to kill people instead of help people. And that's my problem. I don't have an issue with automation. I don't have an issue with technology. I think human beings are tool makers, right? That's what we've done since the very beginning. It's one of the things that we actually do well. We suck at hard labor, but we're phenomenal at being creative and solving problems and making tools. But we keep allowing this 1% of 1% to determine what all those tools are used for, right? And so all those tools are being used for the military. So that's where my techamenology comes from. That's why I say it's always a reminder to me that, we don't own our technology, right? We allow companies to write patents, and we allow corporations to write patents for things that humans own, right? Humanity made these things. Say you made a car. I made this car. I'm gonna call it the Ford, whatever, Volt, whatever, and I'm gonna write a patent for this. I don't think you can write a patent for that. Why? Because first of all, your Ford Volt is made on 30 electric engines that Nikola Tesla made. He owned the patent to those, right? And he gave them to humanity. You know, someone invented a wheel from stone, and your car rides on that wheel, and there are probably 1,000 wheels in that car to spin everything. So how in the world can a patent actually exist when the majority of everything you put together was made by somebody else? So I don't believe in like, I own this thought or I own this technology, because all thought and all technology came from other sources. And so I think it's a lot of our hubris and greed that drives these patents. And the sick thing about patents is they actually hold technology back, right? Because now it's being for money, and it's utilized and it's deployed for money and deployed for one particular thing. And I think at the base of everything that's wrong with humanity, it goes back to greed. Our planet is dying, by the way. That might be a topic worth discussing. Our planet is dying. We are in one of the, we're in the next major extinction right now. And kind of why, like I said, I go down these avenues. I like these avenues because if human beings actually start to stop dividing on ignorance, they stop seeing themselves as races and religions and different nations, and they start to view themselves as, wow, no, we're earthlings. And this really sucks because we're in like a galaxy and we don't even know what the heck is out there. Like, imagine what would happen if humans actually did that. And they actually started looking at themselves as one family on Earth that lives or dies by each other and by the protection of their environment, right? Like, that's why human beings don't control this planet. You know, the little 1% of the 1% own and run everything because they've come up with these phenomenal strategies for dividing up people so they can determine how everything goes. And I don't even think that they have a plan for all of this. Like, I don't think there's a mastermind behind it. I just think that we're heading in a direction that's totally based on greed, where you have all these different billionaires all over the planet fighting over resources, and it ends in all of our destruction, right? And it's, to me, so it's not even save the Earth. Like, the Earth is going to be okay. The Earth is just going to reboot, start all over, no big deal. Stupid humans, I'm not going to make those again. So I think, you know, having topics like this and other things that we talk about, when people actually start to view themselves as one planet, one species, I think that we can actually approach solving a lot of problems that nobody's even looking at today. So everything is about unity. There was another little rabbit hole I went down. I was going to say, Saturday is always fun for me. Let me see. Is this a little rabbit hole right here? No, that's not the rabbit hole. That's fun. This was fun. This was Stargate, you know, so going into the theories of the pyramids and why they made them, that they were these spaceships that came down, that landed, were in a certain shape, triangle, whatever, and they made them. So anyway, that was fun. That's not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this. This is delicious. This is a Russia did it. This is a, y'all always want to blame Russia for everything. Always Russia did it, hashtag, all that silliness. All right, so this is a Russian geologist came up with this theory, and I love it. He's got a YouTube channel. He had a Facebook, you know, he's got a website. But the problem is the website you actually couldn't get to because the website was, well, you could get to it, but it was in Russian. Well, he made, and his name was Alexander Koltepin. He's a geologist from Russia. He travels all over the Middle East and parts of China, and he has a lot of theories about the age of a lot of these sites and the fact that a lot of sites that we're finding out, they're a lot older than what we think. This is one of the sites that's in Israel, and this was exposed due to some erosion. And this is one of the sites, what is the name of it? I have to give you his website. The name of his website is, y'all check him out, tell me what you think. Beforetheflood.com. Beforetheflood.com. Check it out, because now it's translated into multiple languages, a lot of his research, so now you don't have to be Russian to read it. But he goes through the various bits in geology and evidence that he's coming up with, showing that these sites are not thousands of years old, but a lot of these sites are millions of years old. And that there was no way for people 10,000 years ago to even have access to where some of these sites are. So check him out. Tell me what you think. He actually has a YouTube channel also. His YouTube channel is called Alexander Koltypin. So Alexander, last name KolYpin. I'll post it. There's a young lady that he has that's doing all this translation now called Sylvia Ivanova. She's actually doing a lot of interviews with him where he's kind of explaining his points. But to me, you always want to look at all sides of an argument, right? And I think going along with the alien theories and the ancient archaeology and how it makes sense to control everybody by controlling the types of information they have and what they believe in their religions and things like that, it's important to look at all sides of the argument. So I want y'all to take a peek at what he's talking about and see if it kind of makes some sense. I was listening to a couple of his interviews today. He talks about basically before the flood. So, going back to the Sumerians and prior to that, where did the Sphinx come from? How did all these sites and all the sites they're finding off of the coast of India and I think it's Japan where, a lot of these sites actually weren't, available to human beings in dry land for tens of thousands or more years. Very interesting. I want y'all to take a look at that. Those are some of the rabbit holes I went down this morning. I'm gonna, let me see if I missed any last little comments, and then I'm gonna roll out of here. Yes, we have enough, Brother Bajourn said, we have enough work to do on Earth. We have more than enough work to do on Earth, which is why we have to start thinking as we are one Earth. And we have to use automation for human beings, not automation to take the life of human beings. And I kind of think in terms of the whole alien thing, I like what Ronald Reagan said, right? When Ronald Reagan, he said to the UN, he gave that final speech, which is why I think when people, let me see if I can pull that up. When people actually realize that maybe we aren't the only game in town, I think at that point we can get to a point where we can act as one species. And so I'm going to end on Ronald Reagan's speech, and I'm going to let y'all go.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war? Perhaps we need some
What could be more alien and devastating to the entire Earth and everything on it than war? Anyway, this is Gerard. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It was a lot of fun going through some fun topics on the weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love y'all. Bye-bye.